good Monday night, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this President's Day night, 2026. Happy, blessed President's Day to everybody. We didn't even put that in the title, but that's all right. Good to see you tonight. It is always a pleasure to have this dear lady with us. Leslie Millwee's on the phone. How are you, dear, tonight? Good to see you.
Yes, I'm great. Happy President's Day to you, too.
Well, I have never been called presidential material. I've been called some other material in my life, but presidential is not one of them, so we'll leave that one alone for right now. You've had some encounters with presidents of the past, which we could get into tonight if we wanted to, but probably best to leave that one alone. We've had you on our show enough. People know your story. But I do want to get your thoughts before I want to talk about the Guthrie case with you tonight a little bit, and Epstein and some other things. But we've got a president, Leslie, that has done, I think, an outstanding job. I know that he's not been perfect there every move he's made. I think we're going to look back on this time of history, these 8 years we've had him, and we're going to sorely miss him when he's gone. I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't think the country appreciates him, and I think that there's only a small group of people that grasp the importance of what he's doing. I know he probably could do a little bit more on the justice side of things, because I think he better deal with this justice matter with what these people have done. And I'll just leave it at that, and then I'll give it to you. I want to just say this, though. I don't think the country in general appreciates the job he's doing, and I hate that, because we've got a good president. We've got a great president, to be frank with you.
I mean, what he's done in a year is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, people could not accomplish 1/100th, and I'm talking international, but talking about how you don't understand how people get it. I think I have the perfect example. I was talking to somebody today who is a Trump supporter, and she says to me, well, the only way that I judge what I said, do you think the president's done a pretty good job? And she said, well, it's getting better. And I said, could you expand on that for me? I'm just curious what's important to you.
Exactly.
I was being serious, but a little tongue-in-cheek. But she said, well, everything, I have 3 kids, and they eat me out of house and home. And if my grocery bill is less than it was this time last year, then I think he's doing an okay job. I said, well, do you drive back and forth to work? Well, yeah, of course. I said, well, isn't your gas $1 cheaper than it was 2 years ago? Well, yeah. It's almost like you have to constantly remind these people of all the good that he's done.
Why do you think that's so? Why is our country so there was a show on television years back called Better Call Saul, and it's a funny show. It's a dark show. It's basically about a lawyer that represents a meth dealer. I love Better. I love him. I did too, actually. I probably shouldn't admit that, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious at times. But he made a statement one time that some people are just immune to good advice, and I just wonder sometimes if our country's immune to good times. That I think when we have something good going on, we've got to find a way to mess it up. And nothing against your friend, but I'd like to ask her if she would have said that to me, I'd have looked at her and said, well, explain to me how you fared during the Biden years compared to what you've done this past year. Come on.
Well, exactly. And, I pretty much said that. And of course, she agreed with me. And I thought, that gave me a good clue. I think Americans have tunnel vision, and it's also very personal to them. They take out what they think is important, like in this. She didn't even mention gas. It was groceries to her. She said, I'm spending $1,000 a month on groceries for my 3 kids and my husband and I. And, that just sounded outrageously expensive, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Because we don't eat in that much, and there's 2 of us. So I'm not a good person to judge that. I know things are coming down in price. I've seen it. And, Walmart's great about telling you there's been a rollback. I think that's good. Have you noticed
Yeah,
that?
I do. I have, yes.
And so I think that's a big positive. But um, my friend is a perfect example of somebody who could not name a country on a map. I hate to say that. God love her. I'm never going to tell her to listen to this one because she'll know who
Yeah.
she is. But, when you say Iran or Israel or anything, she doesn't follow it. It's not that she's not that's just not in her wheelhouse. It's not important in her day-to-day life. You and I are very different than that. We kind of have a 30,000 mile view looking down. We always think of things short term, long
Sure.
term, and
Exactly.
past. So, but you know what? Most people don't do that, I think. And if you're even getting even a snippet of that 95% liberal news,
Oh,
even if you're
absolutely.
accidentally, it's like how they manipulated. Did you see how they manipulated the inflation rate for
Yeah, they did.
Biden versus Trump? You know, it said under Biden, it had come down to 4.4, yet it's 4.3 under Trump, and it's come down from 9%, but all they say is it didn't go up much. I mean, or go down, it's stable. It was stable and it was unchanged. And I thought, if I didn't know better and I was hearing you say that, what would I think? I
What would I
wouldn't
think?
think there was an
Exactly.
improvement.
Well, you're right, and that is part of the issue. And I don't mean this to be unkind tonight, but Leslie, that's how we get districts like Dearborn, Michigan. That's how we
Oh, I
get
know.
the Minnesota fraud situation. That's how we get people in California electing Gavin Newsom back to back. And people, look, it's not the fact that Kamala Harris ran for president. The issue is that Kamala Harris won the state she did. She had no business winning Virginia. She had no business winning Illinois. She shouldn't have won any state. I mean,
I
she
know.
shouldn't win California. But we have got a situation in this country, and it scares the you know what out of me. And it's
I
the
know.
same way in the church in many ways because look, I'm not a my number one heart, my focus in my heart right now is faith, the Lord Jesus, being ready for eternity, being ready for God, being right with God. But I love my country, and I want my country to do good, and I want to make sure that we do everything on this network to get people to vote and get people to get involved in government. Because as long as the Christian people are here, we need good leaders over us. And that's the other thing that I don't think people understand is that we have woken up. We've sort of popped the hornet's nest with the left because they are seething mad after this first year. And Leslie, I'm concerned that once they take power back, they are going to take their frustration out on one group of people, and that's people that believe in Jesus and people that are conservative. And that's why Trump has got to address this. He's got to deal with these lawbreakers. I mean, that's my only concern, and I think that it's coming. Should we get apathetic, and that's what happens in our nation. We get one group in there, get tired of them, throw them out. The Republicans get in there. We get disenfranchised with them, thrown out. That's been the pattern of this country for the last 30 years, hasn't it?
I know. It has. And the only really positive thing I can say about that, you're absolutely right. We have a history as a country for doing 8-year terms of different parties. It's, very seldom that 2 or 3 win in a row. But let me just say this too. We have an incredible bench right now.
We do.
Did you hear that Marco Rubio speech in Germany?
Yes.
I mean, he was so on fire and on point. And JD Vance, I mean, if I looked at the big picture at this point, I could change, but I would say Marco Rubio for president, JD for VP. I would like to see JD get a little bit more experience. Is he capable of being a great president? Absolutely. I just really like Rubio, and I was very hesitant about Rubio from what he did about 10 or 12 years ago with the McCain deal and all of that. What was it called, the 8 or
Yeah.
whatever? So I mean, he's made some choices in the past, But I think in the last 5 to 10 years, he has really, really buckled down and become just an incredible voice for conservative beliefs.
Well, I would go further than that. I would argue that he has become one of the best Secretary of States this country's ever had. I mean,
Hands down.
hands down. And his stand for Israel, his stand against these illegals, he is not backing down in these congressional hearings. I think that he knows the bigger picture. He sees the world from a different angle than he probably did while he was sitting in Congress. He's the Secretary of State. Um, I will say this: I don't have your enthusiasm for JD. I think that Ron DeSantis. My brother lives in Florida. My son lives in Florida. I've got several friends that live in Florida. I've talked to them, and it was not Ron's time in 2024. It just wasn't, and that's why I
No.
was never on board with him doing what he did. However, Trump can't run again in 28. I believe that the way Ron DeSantis has run Florida, there is no stopping a Rubio DeSantis ticket because you've got the foreign policy, you've got a domestic governor that runs a state. And I'm with you about JD. I think he's still a little wet behind the ears. And there's some, this is just me, there's some associations that he's made. He's not totally distanced himself from the Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens wing of,
I
and
know.
I don't even know what you call it. I wouldn't say the party, but he
It's
has
crazy.
got to renounce that anti-Semitism, Leslie, and he's
I
not
know.
done it. He's got to do that. And the longer he don't do that, I think it hurts him. Now, that's just my opinion. There may be differences of opinion out there, but I think Rubio DeSantis would be my pick. And I have to tell you, if Ron DeSantis wound up at the top of the ticket, I would not be that unhappy. I do believe it's Marco's time if he wants it. Because, see, he pulls the Hispanic vote. He pulls the votes of the
Absolutely.
Hispanics if he gets in. What you think about that?
Oh, he has a beautiful story, and him, tackling the illegal thing, I think it's brilliant. Him being a first generation American, he's got, the touch from all of this. He's got this broader vision and view of immigration and these things that I don't think anyone really has. DeSantis, I've always loved him. I I think he's done a beautiful job in Florida. I think governors as a whole make much better presidents than senators.
I do
I
too,
really do.
and that was my point. That was really my point about JD. JD was a senator. DeSantis was a
Right.
governor, and the reason they make presidents is they have to balance a budget. They have
Right.
to maintain a state. They understand the workings of all departments. They have to run a multifaceted department government, and I like the way he's run Florida.
I
Honestly,
do
I
too.
know there's a lot of people down there that don't like him, but there's a ton more that do, and I've not heard too many bad things about him. And I will tell you this: he has stood up to the woke left in Florida, and if he's done nothing else but stand up to that Disney DEI crowd, he's got my vote. He's got my vote
That
right
was
there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question either that he is conservative. Now, so is JD. Yes, I'm very bothered by the Candace Owen. I mean, I heard a few things this weekend that I was just blown away. I do. She is
She's gone
absolutely
crazy.
crazy as a
She's just gone
loon.
crazy. But again, as crazy as she's gone, the more JD shakes hands with her, that crazy rubs off on him. I don't think he understands that right now. Maybe he
I
does.
think he's too young. I think he's too young. I don't think he wasn't in the Senate that long either. I mean, I think he's incredibly intelligent. I think he's going to be and is a great leader. But I think Marco's got 10 or 12 or 15 years on him. I
Yeah.
think he's more seasoned. I think he's had more positions in government and understands the workings. This shutdown crap, too. Excuse the French, but
Oh, I've
I
heard
am
worse
so
on this
sick
show.
of this.
Crap. You can say crap on this show. We've had folks on here in the past that have used far worse, and we've survived it. We can survive crap. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I am just so frustrated. I want the Republicans to lash out and say, this is your problem, your shutdown. And, we're not doing that. And
I know.
I don't know
I
why.
know. I'm
I
with
don't
you.
know why.
Well, and I think the SAVE Act, we've got the votes. Let's get it passed. And I think that I was actually shocked over the weekend that we reached that 50 senator threshold to get it passed. The Thunes and the Johnsons are as weak-kneed. I don't know how we do it. Every time we have a chance to make change, we elect these weak-kneed Republicans to run the party. And I don't know if they're being paid off. I don't know if they're closet Democrats. I don't know if they're just a bunch of cowardly sissies. But we've got a chance, Leslie, to change course in Washington. We've got the votes. We've got a 55 to 45 majority in the Senate. With JD, do something. Kill the filibuster. Because Trump's right. If we don't, they're going to do it to us. And God help us if that Senate or the House goes back blue.
We've got to do the filibuster. I, for a long time, was really not for that. I thought, I just don't think we need to go back down that road. But the more I hear Democrats, I know they're going to do it. Let's beat them to the punch. I mean, it's a done deal with them. We know that's going to happen. And they will get back in power. And we could be talking about in 10 months, this could all start happening.
This could all start back there. Their first order of business, they will be bringing impeachment charges against him, and everything that he's doing is going to stop. I do want to ask you a question. If you were ranking the top 5 presidents of all time, since it is President's Day, who would your top 5 be?
Well, I would have at one time. I kind of have 2 different ideas. I have like this, this 100 years, and obviously I think I've always thought what Lincoln did, it took the most courage. I mean, yes, Absolutely. It's great to start a country. The Constitution that was put together by several presidents and some really smart guys and Christians. But I always think what Lincoln did for this country and brought it back together was incredible. I always thought Reagan was a great president, and he was an amazing president. But I think Trump has taken over the number 1 spot there over Reagan on that. We'll put him at number 2, and I'll put Reagan at number 3. I mean, we've had some great presidents. You could even say FDR was a great president, and the fact that he took us through the war and he made some really tough decisions. And I don't know. I would have to say those people. And then you even have to include people like Adams and people that helped shape our Constitution and made sure that it was adhered to. And I mean, this was such a new and incredibly different idea in running a country from what we came from. I think that's just an incredible testament to who we are as a country.
Well said. I think that Lincoln has always been my favorite. Trump definitely too, and him and Lincoln would be right up there, almost 1A. But I'm with you. Our top 2 are the same. I think what Lincoln did in reunifying this nation after that Civil War to free the slaves will go down as an earmark. George Washington, definitely. I've got maybe a weird choice at number 4. I think that Harry Truman gets a lot of credit because he ended the Second World War, but he also was the president that stood up for Israel. He basically gave the nod and the push for Israel to become a state. And coming from a Democrat, that was wild because he had so many people resign his party and threaten to leave. And of course, Reagan will always be in that top 5. But the crazy thing about these presidents, Leslie, the 2 presidents with the lowest approval rating that the country hated the most have done the best, and that was Trump and Truman. Harry Truman left with a lowest approval rating of any president other than Bush Jr. And I got to say this about Bush Jr. I know there's a lot of people that can't stand him, but I think we need to at least give him a nod of this. We did not want Al Gore running this country on 9/12/2001.
Oh my gosh.
And I
That
think,
that gives me goosebumps when I think about that.
regardless of Bush's issues and regardless of his warts, I do give him a sort of a mention that he held the country together. Now, the decisions he made following 9/11 into the next year with Ashcroft and all that's up for debate. His Iraq choice is up for debate. Everything he did after that, I'm okay to say, look, he was not a good president. But I will tell you this, on 9/11, I am grateful that George W. Bush Jr. was the one addressing the nation that night, not Al Gore. And I'll always
Amen.
believe that. Good stuff. Hey, I want to read you something here. We're going to change subjects here, but this is a wild story tonight that is coming off the wires, and this is out of Trending Politics, and I'm trying to get confirmation on this, but this is what they're reporting tonight. They're saying that the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie may have started as a burglary gone wrong rather than a carefully planned abduction, according to a report from CBS's true crime correspondent Brianna Whitney tonight. She's citing what she's described as an inside source, said investigators now believe the crime was not necessarily an intended kidnapping, and reported that authorities hold a widespread belief that Guthrie could be alive nearly 2 weeks. Today is day 16 after the 84-year-old vanished from her home. This is the quote. She says, "We now can report investigators now believe this was a burglary gone wrong. We've interviewed multiple experts since this began, who also said, based on the evidence, the surveillance video, and other aspects of this case, that they also believe this was not an intended kidnapping." Now, I'm looking at Whitney. She's a little young. I don't know if I buy that, but we still are not anywhere closer tonight, 16 years later, of they're testing DNA all over southern Arizona tonight to figure out whose
Yeah,
handprints
I
are on
think
that
they're
glove.
grasping at straws there.
What do you think
Um,
about that? I don't agree with that. I think maybe I'm wrong. I mean, we had Eric Karen on last Thursday night, and he's flabbergasted at the FBI's handling of the case, and not really the FBI, but the local sheriff's
oh,
handling
the
of it.
local yokels.
And
Yeah.
he's not certain what happened, and I don't think any of us are. But do you buy the burglary gone wrong narrative?
Well, let me tell you, there are a couple of things that could fit into that scenario that I find interesting. The biggest one is the nonchalance of the guy that came up. It was almost like he was checking to see if there were lights on, or there was not a determination, and I'm in there, I'm going to get her, and I'm going to get out. And
Right.
we know for a fact they stayed a long time. Like 46 minutes or something, or he did. So if he's in that house for 46 minutes, is it possible he was casing the place and didn't realize she was in bed asleep, or knew where her bedroom was and just was trying to be quiet and she woke up? That, and then the backpack, it was stuffed with what they think was soft material or things. If you're doing a kidnapping, wouldn't you have rope and things like that would be bulky in that backpack? If it's smooth, wouldn't that indicate a bunch of extra bags and stuff so that you could stash things in them and carry them out? I mean, that's one thing that crossed my mind.
Yeah. Do you think she's
Uh,
alive?
I do not.
See, I
What
don't
do you
either.
think? I don't either.
And if she's not alive, that sort of busts this theory about the burglary. Because if it was about money, then they wouldn't have taken her, and that's just common sense to me. I mean, if that was a burglary gone wrong, then you leave the old. She's an 84-year-old woman. There's no value in taking her unless you're just a mean, which that's a possibility. We're dealing with a bunch of monsters. But there's so many things that just don't make sense. And I have to say this, and I told Eric this, and he even admitted this himself. The family's actions in this has not helped. And I know that I heard a guy on Fox tonight before I came on, and he was complaining about all the conspiracy talk. And look, I have to say this. I don't think if it was my mom, I wouldn't be happy with all the speculation going on, and people just trying to be amateur sleuths trying to figure out what happened online and all this stuff. I wouldn't be happy with that. I just wouldn't. So I'm
No.
trying to be very
Well,
respectful, but I will tell you this: the family's demeanor and Susanna Guthrie's weird mimicking of the lady from the Hannibal movie did not
I
help
know.
matters. It didn't help matters, Millwee.
Well, I don't know how you're supposed to act in that situation. I know that Savannah has this persona that she has to stay within the lines. I get that. Um, she's obviously the most respected for, the conversation, the public conversation. I think the bottom line is the Arizona officials bungled this from the beginning second, and they are still bungling it.
Yes,
I don't know why
that I agree.
Patel didn't go in there and say, look, you guys, you can't do this. You're worthless. Get out of our way. We're going to do this. What if, they got in there and she woke up, they were casing the place. Of course, now they're saying there wasn't anything missing. So did that happen early on? Did she catch them if that was a burglary? But why did they stay so long in that house? They know that from the pacemaker.
Yeah.
So, that makes no sense. You don't go in someone's house and unless you're just hiding out and waiting for something. But if nothing's missing and it wasn't a kidnapping, which there doesn't really appear to be a ransom, that seems like a fake situation with you don't send that to TMZ.
No, you don't. Let me ask you this, just as again, this is no disrespect to the family, because I'm trying to be very sensitive, because again, I'm putting myself in their place tonight, and I don't want to become one of many that are trying to just throw something on the wall, trying to get a headline tonight, because I don't know. Is there a possibility in your mind, though, that she may have walked off? Again, she's 84 years old. Do you think this was something that may have happened to her by walking out? I don't know. None of this makes sense. All these scenarios, just there's something that doesn't fit. Like the thing with the kidnapping. There's holes you can poke in that. There's holes you can poke in the robbery theory. There's definitely holes you can park in the fact that she walked off by her own volition. But that's what makes all this maddening, and it just doesn't seem the FBI, after 16 days, has gotten any further in this investigation.
Well, supposedly today there's some guy that swears that she saw Nancy Guthrie with two men in Mexico this past weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think there's a couple of things going on. One, she is not in good health. She could not even go to church or hardly get out or drive her car 3 miles over to her daughter's because she cannot drive in the dark. She cannot see well. I don't think she went off. I think she wouldn't have made it very far.
I'll agree. And Eric's theory was family. He felt like this was some kind of family spat, and that when we get to the bottom of who did this, it could be very well about inheritance money, which it ain't the first time that somebody has done something crazy for money, and but that was just his opinion. I want to make it clear tonight. We're not saying that from the show's perspective, because everybody's entitled to this. But I will say this: I just hope they find her, alive. That's all we can pray for tonight.
I pray that they do. I can't imagine. I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined this would be going into week 3. And I think for every second, I also know the medications that she's on because I'm in the medical industry, so I check to see.
Yes.
She cannot live too long without her meds.
Without her meds, exactly.
And I just don't know. She takes blood pressure meds and all kinds of stuff for her heart. And honestly, without the medications, you might die. Now, she may surprise somebody and, rally through. And they know they didn't take her meds. Was it panic? Did somebody panic and take her? Because obviously there was some violence because there was blood.
Blood on there, yeah. And that's what they're trying to home in on, and hopefully they can get something off this glove that they found. Supposedly they found. Maybe the DNA will come back and they can track it down. Moving on to some other things real quick. I won't keep you much longer. I want to ask you about Pam Bondi's performance last week on the Hill. I didn't realize that she would become so polarizing so quickly. I'm not saying that I've been I gave her the benefit of the doubt when she first got in. I know a lot of people was unhappy with the choice. Number one, very unhappy with the in her inability to bring a lot of this J6 stuff is gone now. The statute of limitations is gone. You can't do nothing about anything that was done on J6 now. And she's basically drug her feet on a lot of these investigations. And now this Epstein thing, every time she goes before Congress, that's all they want to talk about is the Epstein files, the Epstein files, the Epstein files. And can't win because Jayapal was upset. She released over 3 million pages, and now that's the Democrats are claiming she's doing that to make them look bad. Well, I thought that they wanted the Epstein files released so they can make Trump look bad. But what's your overall impression of her? I can't stand when these congressmen grandstand, and I think she gave it right back to them. But I felt like at times she was grandstanding too for the camera, and it's not what we need in an attorney general. We need an attorney general to be an attorney general, and just don't play into these childish games for the camera because it just makes you look as bad as the senators that are doing it.
Well, and you know what? I think you may be surprised at my response here. I think you're going to be really surprised. As a woman who has come up through organizations in positions where I had not power, but I, would oversee certain projects or people or whatever. I'm telling you, there's still a little bit of that woman thing going on.
Sure.
Where you do not get the respect and you do not get the benefit of the doubt in most times.
Fair enough.
She is irritating sometimes.
I think that's fair. No, I think before you go any further, I'm going to let you keep going. I'm with you. And that's why it infuriated me the way they treated her on the Hill. I'm not taking their side. I think she held herself quite well, to be frank with you. I just think there were some times that the name calling, she didn't have to call names, but she should have laid it into them, especially these people that were complaining about the ICE agents. She needs to put Tim Waltz in jail tonight. She needs to put Keith Ellison in jail tonight. She needs to put Jacob Fry in jail tonight. She needs to put Ilhan Omar in jail tonight. She needs to put Rashida Tlaib for inciting violence and threats against ICE agents in jail tonight. She needs to put Hillary Clinton in jail and others. And I think if she was to do that, then I think that would solidify the fact that she's not just a figurehead attorney general. Now, your point about the women thing, I'm with you 1,000,000% on that. I do believe they were intimidating her because you got a bunch of pigs in the Senate that don't respect her because of that.
They don't respect her.
And that's sad.
Absolutely right.
And I'm with you.
Pam and I are pretty close to the same age. So I always think back to 1985 and back to 1995. And there are times, I came from an era when I was a teenager working. I was working for a professional soccer team, which was an incredibly cool and fun job. But guess what? I got pinched on the rear. I got slapped on the rear. I got grabbed and ogled, and if I had told anyone, they would have told me to deal with it, that if I should be flattered because somebody thought I was attractive enough to do that to them. That was just the way it was then. And we are not that far removed from that. I think people that are younger don't understand that. Like my daughter, she can't really fathom that. She's like, Mother, it couldn't have been that bad. I'm like, honey, it was. Women, we were not as important as men in the workplace. Now, could she have done things a little bit better? Absolutely. I'm with you on the name calling. But I'll tell you what, I was endeared a little bit more to her. I've been kind of down on her. And when she just gave it back and knew they didn't respect her and she just went for the jugular, I loved that.
No, I think look, and I think you're making a good point, and maybe I was just I think what it
No,
was. Let me tell you what I was. I think it was what I was feeling. I think going back to what I just said a while ago, if I could see teeth coming from her office and people that need to be charged with these crimes are being charged, I don't care what name she calls these, you know whats, because I'd have probably been right there just amening it. I guess what's bothering me is that and again, maybe this is just Chris. She goes on Fox a lot. She goes on these news shows a lot, and she does a lot of that talking. And Leslie, I think that the common feeling out here in the country is I don't care whether she's a man or woman. Bill Barr did the same thing. Bill Barr betrayed this country. He
I
betrayed
know.
Donald Trump. So this ain't a man woman thing to me. I don't care who it is. But she has got to look. I don't want revenge. This is not about revenge. I hear people say that sometimes that, well, we don't need to take revenge on the enemies of Trump. Let me tell you something. It's not about taking revenge on the enemies of Trump. They are not the enemies of Trump. They were the enemies of the Constitution and the decency and the rule of law in this nation. What they did in these attempts to put Trump in jail, to weaponize the IRS, to weaponize the legal system, to do what they've done in Minnesota. I don't look. This is a free country. They can say anything they want to. They can go on the press and call Trump a dictator, Hitler, whatever they want to do. But you do not have a right to impede justice. You do not have a right to stir up violence against law enforcement. You do not. You can't scream fire in a theater, can you, buddy? If you scream
No.
fire in a theater, what they're going to do to you? They're going to put you in jail. You start stirring up stuff against ICE agents and have them shot, and then when the people get killed, all of a sudden ICE is so bad. No, the people that stirred up the violence are so bad, and these leaders
Right.
need to be held on account. I don't want revenge. I want there to be an accounting for what's been done to this country illegally and unconstitutionally. She has the power to do that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care what else she
Well,
does, as long as she would do that.
she has a strong history of over-promising and under-delivering.
That's very
She's
true.
done that from the get-go. I mean, especially with the Epstein thing and the binders and all the conservative reporters and news stations invited in, and they're like, this is a nothing burger. This is nothing we didn't already know. This is so disappointing. And I think she may have learned her lesson a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I don't even know if she likes the spotlight. Maybe she does like the power. I
Maybe
don't
not.
know. I see more of somebody who's really trying to let people know she's doing a lot, and in the process is over promising she's something she can't do. Now, does Trump have a real tight leash on her and wants to fold out things in a different way? I don't know.
I,
I've thought
I'll,
about that.
my prediction is this, and I may be wrong. I think if there's no action from her before the midterms and we stay in power, like the Republicans and the Dems, we keep the House and the Senate, I don't see her back for the second half of his term. I don't.
No.
The only thing I could see her standing here for would be if the Dems get power and he needs her to help fight off the impeachment and help fight off
Right,
what they're doing.
right.
That's just my opinion. And again, I'm not trying to come down on her. I've tried my best. I've defended her on this show,
I know you
and
have. I know you
I've
have.
gotten flack for it. I've gotten criticized for it because people are like, "Well, you're just blind, and she's just a terrible attorney general." And I told people at the very get go, I said, "Look, give her a shot, give her time." And we're going on a year now, and maybe, and again, Leslie, I may be the one with egg on my face at the end. She may be doing something behind the scenes where neither one of us know about tonight, and there may be some big blow here coming soon. This big announcement that there's been made massive arrest. But I just hope that I'm wrong about all this. I just feel like we've done this song and dance before, and you just nailed it. Over promising and under delivering. That's the Republican Party, my friend. That's the
Oh, yeah.
Republicans.
We're afraid. And, I'm trying to do a timeline when I hear it's 8 months to election. Obviously, it is and it should be the economy and helping people understand that they're doing better than they were 2 years ago is of incredible. It has to happen. It has to happen to get those independents back because we've lost them.
I'll agree. I totally agree with
Yeah.
that. And it is the economy stupid. It really is. One final thought I want to ask you about Tom Holman. I think Holman has done, of all the cabinet members, I think he ranks up at the top of my list, as have been, other than Rubio. Tom Holman deserves Man of the Year, what he's had to deal with. I see some of this media getting to him a little bit, and I almost see him agreeing with their talking points about the mask being bad. And look, the way I look at it, there has not been one thing that ICE has done in this whole process to me that's been wrong, and I'll tell you why. They wouldn't have to be patrolling these streets, Leslie. If Joe Biden would have done his blanking job for 4 years, and the previous administration, Mayorkas, and all this bunch, wouldn't have let 12 million illegals run wild over the country, we wouldn't have to be cleaning up this mess. And it's almost like the Gaza situation in Israel. Hamas attacked Israel first, and whatever Israel had to do to retaliate and
country. Yeah.
and deal it, to me, it's justified. The way I look at it with ICE, whatever tactics they have to use to get these illegals out, Chris is all for it. Because I'm going to tell you something, if Chris was in power tonight, it'd probably be 10 times worse than what they're doing right now. Because I would tell them all, I'd say, I don't care where you find them. You go wherever they're at, you get these people out. If they're not going to get legal, if they're not going to do the right thing, they're breaking the law. We're going to have a country of law, whether we take them kicking or screaming. We're going to have a nation of law. Leslie, you don't have a country without that.
I know.
And I'm with him. I'm with him. And I'm saying, do it. I know he's taking.
People are.
Go ahead.
I mean, no, I've not talked to anybody that thought ICE was bad. I've had a few people say, "Oh, it's so rough." And I said, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. You go into Italy and you try to change things, and then you tell them the way to do things, and then you commit crimes, and you won't leave. And take jobs. So see how that works for you. Let me know if Italy lets you stay and just gives you some free benefits in the meantime, including health care, welfare. And, when it's like, why do we have to be the ones that do everything? Yes, we are the most wonderful country in the world. We also have an immigration system. Is it broken? Yes, it is. How can we fix it? Let's do both things. They are not mutually exclusive. Let's do both things at the same time. Get out the bad and approve of the good, or those that have proven themselves. I want them to pay taxes. That's my main thing. And I want them to quit sucking the healthcare system. Those are two huge things that happen. I see every single day how they have destroyed our healthcare.
Well,
because we can't take care of it.
And all that's good, but I also I want to say this to the millions that came in here right. I'm going to tell you, I have a dear friend down in McAllen, Texas, and he is my dear buddy. And I've been to the border twice, 3 times actually down there. And I have walked the border with him. I've walked the wall with him down there. And he came in right. And every single illegal that came into this country illegally didn't go through the process, didn't wait their turn, didn't go to citizenship class like he did. It's an insult to him. As it should be.
It is.
And it's an insult to those that did it right. So the health care and all that other stuff, I'm with you on that. But the way I look at it, they go back out and come back in, and they can pay all the taxes they want to. But see, this is the problem we got with this. You and I both know that this country does not have the stomach. And I hate to say there's many on the right that don't have the stomach. There's many Christians that don't have the stomach. You sort of hit it. You was hitting it just a few seconds ago. There are people out there, Leslie, that do not have the stomach to see this through to the end because they've been so accustomed to a lawless country and it being allowed that to see things get right, and this is what scares me with our nation on this President's Day, friend. We have been accustomed to a country so far out of kilter and so far out of whack that to bring it back to just normal, I don't know if we're going to be able to ever do it because I don't think people have got the stomach for it. Because to see it happen is going to take some fortitude of the internal intestines.
I agree. And you're right. And when they talk about, there were, it's the lowest murder rate and crime rate we've had in 125 years. I think people have no concept of how incredible that is. And why is that? Because, 6 to 8% commit 80% of the crimes.
Without a doubt.
So, and 2% of those people commit violent crimes constantly. So, it only stands to reason if you knock 4,000 people out. Well, somebody said, oh, well, that's only, I heard Rachel Maddow or somebody said, well, only 2% of those people. I'm like, you understand that's 12 or 1,500 murders that we let into one state?
Exactly. But that's the insanity of the left. And you've got people on the right that embrace that. I was going to ask a question anyway, but since it's been put in the chat, I'll go ahead and ask you this as we close tonight. What are your thoughts about these kids being let out on these classes to go protest ICE? And Florida tonight has made the news, not in a good way. I'm sure DeSantis is not going to be happy with this, but Gateway Pundit is reporting that the Florida Department of Education, there are forces in there that are saying that to protest ICE is normal. In other words, it's okay to do that because it's normal. Is that? I don't see anything normal about it. These teachers and these principals, Leslie, should be fired on the freaking spot. I got to say that. It would not do. Again, McDonald, you would disown me. Because McDonald, I wouldn't put up with this mess.
No.
I wouldn't put up with it.
It's so crazy that you said that because we are having that problem here in Oklahoma, which is really surprising.
Yeah.
We're not a big state with a lot of illegal immigrants, but we have more than we had 10 years ago. I've only lived here for 5 years, but let me tell you, the high school that I attended, they had a big walkout. Well, I say big. It was about 110 people. That's pretty big for a school with, 800 or 900 people. That's
right.
Pretty substantial. 10% or whatever. They're all Hispanic. I did not see one on the news. I saw it on the news. And my husband looked over at me and he says, you do not go by there. You do not go by there.
I know.
And I said, I know, I'm so angry. First get your rear back in there. Because 33% of those kids are graduating from that high school. 33%.
Unreal.
They have a 26% efficiency in English and a 10% efficiency in math. These are the kids that are out there protesting, and that just blows me away that that's acceptable on any level.
How have we gotten to this point in our education system? I used to sub, and I sort of can answer that question a little bit because I listened to the break room chat, and I was shocked that teachers are so far left, and I watched this through the years get more left, and I was thinking, thank God my kids are grown, because I wouldn't want these teachers teaching my youngins, and I'm not going to say what schools I was at here in this county, but I will tell you this, substitute teaching opened my eyes to what these kids were being indoctrinated, and that's just been maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it's gotten worse, my friend, over the last 3 or 4 years. And it definitely's gotten worse under Trump. Because these teachers hate Trump's guts. They just hate his guts.
Do. Yeah, they just can't keep, as I like to say, they just cannot keep their pie holes shut. They just have to be a fanatic, but you know what? There is hardly any positive thing that came out of COVID, but the one shining beacon is we found out who and what is teaching our children.
I'm with you in there. That is absolutely right. I got to ask you one question one more before I let you go. This is from, I posted this over the weekend. It was Thursday, but the leader of the pro-Palestinian movement and protest in New York, Nurdin Kaswami, even sounds weird, is now calling for a ban on dogs as pets in the Big Apple tonight because dogs are considered harem in Islam. I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. Who knew that Mandani winning the election would embolden the extremists? It's Dr. Maloff post. But Leslie, they got what they voted for, but I swear this stuff, I just think this is just the beginning of some weird stuff that's about to hit the Big Apple. And if you got dogs up there tonight, to all my New England listeners, you better put Fido somewhere where they can't find him because they're coming after Fido.
Oh my! I'm not. I mean, their culture is so radically opposed to everything we believe in. Their Sharia law, the way they treat their women, the way they treat the world, and everyone is a heretic except for them. And even the non-radicals, the ones that just follow those teachings, you have to have a different set of cultural values to believe that way. You have to. So how we can think these two worlds can possibly live in unison together is beyond me.
They cannot.
Look at what's happened to London. Look at what's happened to the UK. I mean, it is destroyed. I mean, I don't think that London can ever come back. I pray they can.
Leslie, do you realize if me and you were in London tonight, that they would probably be knocking at both our doors for this conversation that we're having?
Oh, of course.
They would put us in jail because people are getting thrown in jail for Facebook posts, X posts, Twitter posts, anything they do, Telegram posts, that goes against the government, goes against any wokeness, anything that addresses culture, anything that's anti-Islam, anti-LGBTQ, anti-DEI, anything that's anti for the law. You can get on there and cuss ICE, use profanity against ICE or their law enforcement. It's not ICE over there, but say anything negative against Christians. Look, if a Christian gets on there and says Jesus is the only way to heaven, the way London is right now, you run the risk of being in jail for saying that. And that is headed here unless we get in our head what you just said. You just nailed it tonight, that these two cultures, these two ideologies are never going to be compatible with each other. Ever.
No.
Ever.
No. And we were based on a Judeo-Christian value system and ideals, and you know, their hate for Jews too. I mean, yes. I have some friends that are Jewish. I mean, literally, they say it's scary sometimes. I see, and I used to never see a hijab or Muslim women. I have seen several in the last couple of years when I'm out grocery shopping or, you know, whatever. And that's something that was kind of not a big deal in Oklahoma. You heard about things, but, you know, we have a church on every corner. And you know what? I'm grateful for that. I pray that Christians don't think I've been called evil and hateful, and because my beliefs are so strong and I don't have room for other things. I said, no, I only have room for Jesus Christ.
Come on,
He
buddy.
is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to him but through Jesus, and that's the way it is. And period. I'm not making excuses for believing the way I do.
Well, I'm going to read this to you as we close tonight. Lawrence Fox tweeted this out a few days ago. He says, it's strange that Christians don't wear or don't issue fatwas, which is basically a call to jihad. Strange that Christians don't blow up children at concerts. Strange that Christians don't massacre young girls at a dance class. Strange that Christians don't behead teachers in the streets. Let's all wait patiently for the so-called moderate Muslims to condemn the savage death cult. Islam has no place in the West, and that's the truth. And let me just say this tonight, buddy. To me, there is no such thing as a moderate Muslim. Bill Federer helped me with this definition. He said the only difference between a moderate Muslim and a jihadist, the jihadist believes that Muslims are going to take over the world now. A moderate Muslim believes they're going to take over the world later. They still believe Islam is supposed to take over the world. And
that's a great point.
Bottom line. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you did an outstanding job on a Monday night, and I'll send you. You can send me a bill for this, and I'll be glad. We're going to be.
We have great conversations.
We do, and we're going to get. I've got to talk to you here in a few weeks. I think I found us an outlet, maybe to do a radio show. We'll talk about that. I've been wanting to do something with you together, but we may get you on pretty regularly. You know, once every week, once every other week if we can. I love these Monday nights, and this is good stuff tonight. And I'm going to give you a final thought session time, and good question. Jenny Castellanova has got one question. Do you think the parents knew that these kids got let out of the classroom? Do you think the parents were aware of this? I actually do, because the parents are nuttier than the kids.
Well, they're getting it from somewhere.
Absolutely.
Indoctrination from the schools. I say they're getting confirmation what they're learning at home.
Oh, I'm with you. No, I'm totally with you about that. I'm with you without that. Final thoughts, buddy. Good stuff tonight, bud. I really appreciate you.
You bet. I'm so glad we got to talk about Marco Rubio. I think he's going to be a great hope for us. It's interesting. Have you noticed JD hasn't really been kind of in the spotlight lately?
Yeah.
It's been Bondi
I've
and
noticed
Tom
that.
Holman and maybe that's on purpose. I don't know. I think he has a great future. I just don't know that he's ready for prime time. But we are a couple of years away. A lot could happen. That's like an eternity in politics. So.
Well, I'll go out of this show tonight saying this. This country, and I'm talking to both Christian and non-Christian alike. Look, Trump is not my savior. Trump is my president. But we better appreciate the president we've got, because I don't think, unless there is a tremendous amount of mercy that God shows on this country, and I'll say this, Leslie, the way we've treated him, if Chris was God, which I'm not, I would let the country, and I saw somebody post something about Mendami. New York City had a chance to go another direction, and they chose the communists. And they're about to taste a bitter pill. This country's got the same choice coming up in November, and we've got it in 2 years. And if we so choose to go down this path, we're going to reap a bitter harvest. But I think that both Christian and non-Christian alike needs to be very grateful to God that Donald John Trump crossed our paths in that White House, because the things he's doing is trying to get this country back on par financially, lawfully, and I'm not going to say that he can do it morally, because that's going to come from God. That's a spiritual issue from the pulpit that's got to come into the hearts of people. But at least he's trying to lead the country to God and to pray and to seek God's face. He never has a talk and a speech that he doesn't mention that in those speeches, that we need God to direct us. I've not heard many presidents of history say that. He does.
No.
That's why I love him, and that's why I support him tonight.
Absolutely. Well, I can't imagine what this country would be like right now under Kamala Harris.
Oh, good stuff.
I mean, you know, God has blessed us, and I tell people that you have no idea where we might be, and maybe we'll never know, of course. But yeah, we'll just watch the flailing idiots, the Swalwells and the Harrises and Newsom and all those idiots prepare themselves. I don't like this Wes Hunt either. I think he's kind of a worm.
He's a worm. He's a worm.
You know, he's all about me. He reminds me of a male version of Kamala.
Absolutely, so, he does. I think a McDonald Millwee ticket in 28 might be in the works. You up for that?
I'm holding up my fingers and a sign saying, rock on, Bianca.
Much love, friend. I'll be in touch with you, okay?
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Good
Leslie.
night.
Leslie Millwee, everybody. Put some fire in that house. Oh! 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 Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Leslie Millwee, everybody. Great stuff tonight. And Chris, you're right. New York City is about to find out what they voted for. That they are going to do. If you enjoyed Leslie tonight, put some fire in that house. If you got a question, any comments, we'll take those right now. It is President's Day. I'm going to get you to do something for me tonight before we leave you. We're going to go another 15, 20 minutes here. Be sure, folks, if you're on our news side tonight, to like and subscribe to our channel. If you've not subscribed to it, please do so tonight. Share it out. And who are if you had to pick your top 3 presidents, let's do the top 3, maybe 4. We'll just go top 4 or 5. Who would be your top today's President's Day? Who are your top 5 presidents? And you can go all the way back to Washington. And as I said, I'll give you mine tonight. I'm with Leslie. I think Abraham Lincoln has to rank at the very top for what he did for the country after the Civil War. I really do. Trump, definitely number 2, and I would almost, if you swap Lincoln and Trump, I wouldn't have no problem with that. George Washington, establishing our nation. Ronald Reagan would be 4. And then Harry Truman, for the fact of what he did for Israel and stopping World War II. He had the fortitude to do what was right, even though it was very unpopular, and it's in history has judged him very harshly for that act that he did with the nuclear weapon. We've not used nuclear weapons since, but Harry Truman had some guts, even though he was a rabid Democrat. I went to his library out in Kansas City, Independence. We were out there a few years ago at a conference, and I went by there, and I had to hold my nose for 99% of it, walking through, watching all this liberal crap, to use Leslie's word tonight. But I got to the section that honored his commitment to Israel, and I still believe that. And I'm going to go ahead and say it again. George Bush Jr., I know some of you despise him and can't stand him, and I'm not saying I love him. I don't. I mean, I pray for the man. I pray for his family. But I will say, if you can, the nightmare of nightmares would have been had that 9/11 event taken place with Al Gore in office. We may have a completely different country tonight, folks. We may have had a completely different country. And you say, well, Bush made mistakes in Iraq. Yes, he did. Bush made mistakes in Afghanistan. Yes, he did. But he had to respond to the 9/11 terrorist attack. And I know some of you QAnons and some of you smarties out there that think you know everything, you believe Bush was behind 9/11. Well, you can believe that if you want to believe that. That is entirely up to you. I don't. I don't. You call me whatever, and I've been called that before. You see, this is what's wrong with our nation. This is what's wrong with our nation tonight. We don't put 9/11 on the real enemy. And the real enemy that did 9/11 to us is the same enemy that's taken over Dearborn, Michigan tonight. Same enemy that's taken over Minnesota. It's the same enemy that's taken over Congress. The same enemy that's taken over New York City has taken it over. But we want to make a boogeyman. We got to have a boogeyman in this country. We just do. And this is not a George Bush Jr. applause session. But I'm telling you, folks, George Bush Jr. wasn't our enemy. Our enemy is Islam. And this fascist communist manifesto and this communist spirit that is trying to destroy this country and this lawless spirit. I'll aim in myself. I'll aim in myself. Dennis, you said for Reagan, the only thing you didn't like was his vice. Well, you know, that's to be said. That's I'm not going to disagree with that. Jenny, Lincoln, Reagan, and Trump, and I don't mind Reagan being number 2, buddy. I think I think that that's a pretty good list there. Uh, Chris, your question, I'm going to get yours in a minute. I'm trying to get the presidents. Val says Washington, Trump, Lincoln, Kennedy, and Reagan. I think that's a good list, Val. I think that's a good list. Um, Mary Cleveland says I was going to name them, but you named them all, so Mary and me agree. Val, I think Washington, Trump, Lincoln, and again the order of these Kennedy, and I don't even have a problem with John F. Kennedy. I think that's a good choice. I think John F. Kennedy, for the short time that he ran the country, he was a moderate Democrat, and he he won. Many people may not know this. Kennedy won by the lowest margin of victory electorally. He barely beat Nixon. And I got something to say about Richard Nixon tonight. History has judged Nixon very harshly. Nixon wasn't a bad president. He wasn't a perfect man, and he had a lot of issues. But Nixon brought Vietnam to a close. And if nothing else he helped the country heal. And then he was impeached immediately after that. And Ford came in and tried to soothe things over. And him pardoning Nixon basically led to his defeat. And guess who we got? Because the country wanted blood. We got Jimmy Carter for 4 years, who is somewhere tonight. I'm not going to say where his soul is because I don't know if he had some kind of come to Jesus minute at the end. But Jimmy Carter went to his grave basically believing Israel was an apartheid state. He went to his grave. He even made a statement 3 weeks before he died. He died shortly after the election. He said, I pray to God that God keeps me alive so I can go vote for Kamala Harris. So, again, I'm not judging the man's soul, but that's what happens in elections. It's what happens to this country. How our thinking gets warped. I think your list is good, Val. I do. I liked Kennedy. What I've read. I mean, I wasn't born. Contrary to rumor, I wasn't around. I was born shortly I was born in 65. So my first memory of a president was Richard Nixon, to be frank with you. And I don't think Nixon did that bad a job, even though he got himself into some trouble with those tapes. We've had some good presidents. We've had some great presidents. We've had some not so great presidents. And I think that, anyway, I'll leave it at that. Good choice. Wesley says Lincoln, Reagan, Trump, and Lincoln. Let's see. Patty says Jefferson for what he did before the presidency. Long live the Bill of Rights. That's a good choice. Jefferson had his problems. Chris said, did you see that there was another shooting in Rhode Island, supposedly by another trans person? Chris, it's breaking tonight on Gateway Pundit. We'll talk about that more probably this week. We won't be with you tomorrow night. Actually, I see it right now. It's breaking. I tell you what we'll do. We'll pull the story into our newswire real quick since you've mentioned it. And I'll come over here, and it's right there on the top tonight. And this is so we can show everybody this story right here. You're absolutely right. This is just in the last hours, 9:15, Rhode Island transgender. Let's see, let me get me out of the way. Hockey game shooter identified, replied to Alex Jones about trans people going blanking berserk. Day before family massacre, Cassandra McDonald wrote the story, no relation, she spells her name differently. This is the transgender man who shot and killed 3 members of his family during a high school hockey game in Pawtucket, Rhode Island today. Robert Dorgan, 56, of North Providence, who went by the name Roberta Esposito, or Roberta Dorgano, and identified as a woman, and there it is right there. This is the update on the shooting tonight. Roll the tape.
So what I can say right now that we have identified the person, the suspect, by his birth name. The birth name was Robert Dorgan. We have also learned that the person does go by the name of Roberta, also uses the last name of Esposito. But again, that will be all confirmed throughout the course of the investigation as to their status that really doesn't have anything to do with the investigation. 1969 he was born.
And that is just in the last hour and a half. It happened around 9 o'clock tonight, and we're right at 11, so it's happened very recently tonight. And folks, let me say this tonight. Look, there's something going on in that trans community. I think I talked to Eric Karen about this last week, and there was somebody else, maybe in Leslie even. I talked to her about this off camera. These drugs, and Leslie's in the healthcare field, these drugs that these people are taking to make them transition, I believe is having an absolute horrific effect on their disposition. I think it's making them violent. Look, you just mess with nature when you do this stuff, and you mess with God's ordained plan for man, which is for man to be a man, for a woman to be a woman, and you start tinkering with that in any manner, you're going to get a murderous society. You're going to get a murderous spirit. It's a spirit. We do not judge the trans community. We do not say that in any kind of hate or anger tonight. But the facts are just staring us right here in the face. Just staring us right in the face. And the trans violence, we're going to talk about this Thursday night. We've got figures that we're going to show you about the amount of violence in the trans community is quadrupled in the last 5 years. In the last 5 years. Most violent crime in this country is being committed by transgender individuals. And I'm not just throwing that out there to throw it out there. We're going to talk about it more with law enforcement. We got a dear friend, Keith Gaston, coming Thursday night. He's a former Florida highway patrolman. And we're going to talk about some legal things. I met Keith at Israel on our Israel trip, and he's offered to come on and talk legal stuff with us. And I'm grateful for him, and law enforcement stuff. And he's going to be probably a frequent guest this year on the show, and looking forward to his debut Thursday night. Magdalene Rose will be with us. Now, there's a possibility I'll be on my, I don't think I'm taking my laptop to Nashville because I don't want to lug the thing around, but I'll be on my phone tomorrow night. So you folks on Facebook, we will do a Facebook Live tomorrow night late from Nashville. Now, tomorrow and during the day, we'll be basically interviewing some folks on live cast from Nashville, the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. So you may see some folks that you've seen before, and we'll talk to some interesting people and see if they'll join us, and we hope we can get that done tomorrow. It's going to be a good couple of days. We'll be back Wednesday night. We will be back in time for a face show Wednesday night. But anyway, Jay, I believe you're right. It is a national health emergency. Totally agree. I totally agree. It is. And it is a spiritual matter. And again, I want to just make it clear, because I know some orangutan out there. And my apologies to the real orangutan for the individuals that do what I'm about to say they're going to do. They're going to take what I just said, and they're going to twist it. And they're going to say, well, McDonald is transphobia. I told Star Parker this last week. Everybody's got a phobia for everything right now. Chris don't have any phobias. Chris just got something called common sense. And I got a heart, and I got a brain, and I'm soberly minded. And I look at things from a spiritual perspective, and I look at things from a common sense perspective. And folks, the numbers don't lie. Look, I know what the solution is spiritually. These folks, and folks, the whole world needs Christ tonight. But the answer to this problem is Jesus. The answer to all this violence in this earth tonight, the answer to all the violence against ICE, all the illegality. And when these people tell you, well, Jesus wouldn't throw these illegals out, I hate to tell you, heaven's got gates. And to get into that gate, you got to be in the Lamb's Book of Life. You got to have citizenship in heaven for you to go to heaven. You're not going to go to the heaven and just open that gate and walk in at your own volition. And when the Lord tells us in Romans 13 that the powers that are over us are ordained by God, and he that executeth the sword does not execute it in vain against lawbreakers, that tells me that God's a God of lawfulness, not a God of lawlessness. The Antichrist is such. So, yes, Jesus would command them. And I tell you something, folks, I might as well go ahead and do a little Bible nugget for you tonight. During the millennial kingdom, there's not going to be any illegal immigration into the New Jerusalem either. There's not going to be this lawless spirit on this earth during that time that Christ rules and reigns this earth. He's coming back. And there's not going to be any of this lawlessness that you see here on this earth tonight. It's going to be dealt with. It would be in man's best interest to deal with it now and repent and deal with it now than to face the judge of the earth later as a lawbreaker. Now, you don't have to accept that, and you can get your feathers in a wad about it, and that's all right. I love you just the same. Yesterday was Valentine's Day weekend. We were in a loving mood. I'm still in a loving mood tonight. But I'm telling you that with all the love of Jesus in my heart. The coming kingdom age is not going to be one of lawlessness. It's best we get it right now, or we're going to face the judge of the earth, who's not a lawless judge. And I'll leave it at that. That's for a faith show, but all these shows are faith shows as far as I'm concerned now. I'll amen myself. Since I'm not getting any amens out there, I'll amen myself tonight. Did you enjoy Leslie Millwee? If you did, put some fire in that house. I'll just quit talking, so I'm going to say goodnight now. Grateful to see everybody. Val, thank you for being with us. Good choice tonight and on that president. And thank you all for being with us. Wesley, you said Nixon gave Israel all the weapons during... I'm not sure what war you're talking about. And I don't think that's a bad thing, Wes. If it wouldn't have been for America during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, the Arabs may have won. I mean, I've got no problem with America helping Israel. I think that we better keep helping Israel. I think that's where you're going with that, and I hope it is. But I had no problem with Nixon. I think Nixon was a good president. He didn't do everything right, and he had some scoundrels in his cabinet. Just like, hey, there's some scoundrels in Trump's cabinet. Some of them. There's some scoundrels in every cabinet. All these presidents that we talk about tonight, folks, none of them are perfect. We've never had a perfect president. But these men that we talked about on this President's Day, they led the country with some character. And I will be forever grateful. I'm a history person, and I will always respect those presidents that have tried to keep the country at heart. I really mean that, and so forth. All righty, I'm done tonight. Listen, we love you. We hope you've had a good Monday night with us. We thank Leslie Millwee for being with us. I'll see you tomorrow from Nashville, and tomorrow night from Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. Back here Wednesday night for Faith Show. Thursday night, my dear buddy Keith Gaston, we're going to introduce you to him. He's a good old codger. Friendly guy, teddy bear type. You're going to like him. But he's got a lot to say about the law issue in this country, and looking forward to his insight. Magdalene Rose will be with us too. And a few other surprises. I'm not going to mess with Akers this week. He's yakking it up at a beach this week. And so I told him I'll let him enjoy his beach. We'll get him back next week. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I sure did. And I'll see you tomorrow from Nashville. See you Bible students in the morning early before we leave, okay? So be with us there on the faith side. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America on this President's Day, 2026. May God bless this republic. And God keep this republic safe from all enemies, foreign and domestic. In the name of Jesus tonight. May the Lord bless you tonight. I will see you back here tomorrow, but it'll be on Facebook only probably, and then back here on YouTube Thursday night with Keith. God bless you guys. Have a good night.